In this video, we will be talking about what to do and what to consider before starting testosterone replacement therapy as a man, as a busy executive who juggles life with meetings, back-to-back meetings, your obligations, your work obligations, your family life, all these things you have as a busy executive. These are the things that you should consider, and also what to do naturally before even thinking about going the medical route if you've ever thought about doing testosterone replacement therapy. I have a lot of guys come to me at what I deem is a very early stage where they haven't even maximized their natural levels yet. They don't even have a foundational level of basic sleep, basic diet, basic exercise, or basic stress management routines to maximize their levels naturally. And as a medical doctor, I always think that you should do things the natural way for as long as possible. That way you can avoid all the side effects that you will get or that you might get using medication. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, my name is Rafael Al-Najaar. I am a medical doctor specializing in men's hormonal health and fertility. And I have countless guys come to me basically every day for TRT, or at least to talk about TRT. And it's guys who are busy, it's guys who are very successful already. Maybe they have already gotten their financial success, they've achieved that already. Maybe they are athletes, they want to maximize their levels, they want to maximize their performance, and so they come to me. And so what I want to make clear in this video is I want you to be able to discern whether you have maximized your body's natural levels, if you've done all the right things before even thinking about going the medical route. And so we will be starting by talking about why testosterone, why the healthy levels even matter as a busy executive. Then we're going to talk about what to do, the key natural strategies to incorporate in your day-to-day life, simple strategies so you can improve your testosterone levels without having to rely on medication. Then we will be discussing the key conditions to meet before even considering the medical route, the TRT. And then in the end, we will be discussing if and when you should really consider start getting the testosterone replacement therapy. Now, if you're unsure about what low testosterone symptoms even are, it's pretty simple. It's having no energy, having no libido, or even just having low libido, not being the same guy with that inner drive, that motivation to really drive things at work or at home, whatever you're doing. It's also not being able to focus that much. It's that concentration, it's that decreased strength, sleeping not good. All of these are signs of having low testosterone. There's a difference between testosterone deficiency and then having low testosterone. Testosterone deficiency is pretty serious because then your body is not creating red blood cells and your bones are not strengthening. And that's actually very serious. And that's one of the reasons you should go into TRT. We'll talk about that later. But having low testosterone gives you these symptoms: the low energy, low libido, the fatigue, the bad concentration, no focus, no motivational inner drive. These are the things you should look out for and say, okay, some of this actually fits me. And especially as an executive, as a man who's maybe 35 years old or older, 40, 45, and now you're starting to feel that your body can't do the same things it used to do. You don't have that same drive. You can't focus in the same capacity. And you're tired when you get back home, when you have to play with your kids. Because you want to play with your kids. You want to be with your wife in the bedroom. You want to do those things, but you simply can't. And so those are some of the symptoms that you will feel actually as soon as, I don't want to say all men will feel them after 30, but the guys who will feel them, who will be low in testosterone, will start feeling them after 30, after 35. The main reason for it is the lack of resistance training. You start losing muscle mass, and when you do that, your testosterone levels will also start dropping. And now you could say that's the natural way of modern life in these days. This gets exacerbated by having the lifestyle of an executive who has to fly around all around the world, have to do meetings, have to have back-to-back calls, get back home late, maybe doesn't eat properly, definitely doesn't sleep properly. That's definitely one of the key reasons that I see with guys when they come to me. They tell me, my diet isn't on point. I know it's not on point, and I'm not sleeping well. And so on top of the things that the modern lifestyle will give you, of decline, you have all these busy things going on top of that, which makes your symptoms and makes your life even worse, which gives you a lower testosterone even earlier than you would have if you had just eaten properly or slept properly. We know this even in studies done on young men, that when they don't sleep enough, when they sleep 6 hours or less, their testosterone levels will fall by approximately 10 to 15%. And so imagine that when you're an older guy, 35, 45 years old, that has an even bigger impact on you. And this is why fixing some of the foundation, some of the fundamental things first is so important. And maybe you don't even have kids yet. Maybe you want to have kids. And this is one of the things that are not talked about that often, is that testosterone is also a key component in maturating sperm cells. So if you have low testosterone, you will have worse sperm quality. This is one of the reasons that you want to have very good testosterone levels at the same time. Because if you don't have kids and you want kids, you have that wish, then there's another reason there. Now, if all of these things, they resonate with you, you feel some of these symptoms, you want to have the solutions, like this video, because that helps me understand that this is a topic that people are interested in. And so I know that I have to create more videos on it to help you guys even more. And I'm also gonna create videos on how to solve this problem as well. Remember to subscribe so you always get the newest videos. Now, let's talk about maximizing your testosterone levels naturally, what you can do as a, let's say, first line of defense. What I always talk about is having your foundation in order, having your foundation on point. And what is the foundation? It's diet, it's sleep, it's exercise, and it's stress management. And those four things are very important. You have to do all four things. Now, this is just basic. These are basic things. You can always get more advanced stuff. You can do basic supplementation. If you know that you are lacking some vitamins, some minerals, you can do more advanced supplementation. But if you have this in order, this will solve 80% of the problem for you. Now, having all these things in order, your lifestyle, which this basically is, this will get rid of all the side effects that you might get from getting on TRT. When you're eating, focus on foods that are primarily animal-based. Red meats, fish, eggs. If you can tolerate it, you can have dairy as well. You want to have the good fats. You want to have the protein. And then for most men, honestly, carbs are not that necessary. Now, you can eat carbs. I'm not saying not to do that. But carbs for most men are not necessary. The most necessary things are the proteins from animal-based foods and the fats, because you need cholesterol, which is in fat, to produce testosterone. It is literally the backbone of creating testosterone chemically. And what you want, why it has to be animal-based, is due to the bioavailability. So bioavailability is your body's ability to digest and use the nutrients. When they're animal-based, our gut is designed to break that down and use it even better. That's harder with plant-based options. So if you're getting whatever, vegan protein, pea protein, it's not as good as having red meat. It can be ground beef, it can be steak, whatever, lamb, eggs. These are very, very good options for you to not only meet your requirements, but also get them in a nutrient-dense way. Because you can have calorie-dense and you can have nutrient-dense. You want nutrient-dense, which is as many nutrients for as little energy as possible. That's also what satiates you. Now, there's one thing that is very much talked about these days, which is the GLP-1s. This is the hormone that signals that you're satiated, basically. It does some other things as well, but this is the main thing that it does and what's talked about in the media. When you eat an animal-based diet, you will increase that signaling and you will feel satiated even faster. This is one of the issues with processed foods, which all of these foods with carbs and sugars, they usually are, they will not signal the satiation in the same capacity. So this is why you can eat so much and you can keep eating. So if you go to whatever, a fast food store, you get burgers, you'll feel hungry again after half an hour, after an hour. You're not going to be satiated. That's due to the processed foods. But when you eat animal-based with as few ingredients as possible, you will be satiated, while giving your body the exact nutrients that you need to burn fat, to build muscle. And in this case, what's important is building testosterone, producing testosterone in your body. The second thing I believe that every man should do is resistance training. Resistance training is so much more important than going for a run, because resistance training helps you create muscle mass. Now, after the age of 30, you have to do resistance training just to keep your muscle mass. Before that, before the age of 25, when you do resistance training, you're building on top. It's way easier to build on top. But after 30, you have to do resistance training just to keep that same muscle mass. And the muscle mass is the most active organ in terms of our energy expenditure and improving our insulin sensitivity, which is one of the best markers of cardiometabolic disease, liver disease, kidney disease, all these chronic lifestyle issues. So this is why you want insulin sensitivity. You want to have good insulin sensitivity, because that way you minimize your risk of having all these chronic lifestyle issues. And this is also one of the ways to improve your testosterone levels. One of the areas to focus on is actually the legs, the glutes. When you have a good muscle mass in your glutes, so in your ass, you will, because it's such a big muscle group, you will also increase your testosterone levels, because you are increasing insulin sensitivity. So your body, by manipulating something called SHBG, your body will be forced to increase your testosterone levels because your insulin sensitivity is actually increasing. And this is why you want to do exercise. You want to do resistance training. Now, if you have time to do cardio, I think that's perfect. Do that as well. But your main focus should be doing resistance training. And even better, like the program that I give to my clients, it's resistance training with built-in cardio. It's fast. It's 30 minutes max per session. It's twice a week. You go in there. And so what the guys experience, what the men experience, that the guys that are my clients, is that they have an average heart rate of around 150 while they do the strength training. So the cardio is built into the strength training, which is why I truly believe the system that I've created for those guys is one of the best in the world, because you do two things at the same time. It's the resistance training and the cardio at the same time. Now, if we talk about sleep, sleep is also very, very important. Sleep is where your brain flushes out all the toxins and you really recover better. This is where you burn fat. This is where you build muscle. It's during sleep. And if you go to sleep before 11, around 10 p.m., this is where you can maximize your growth hormone, your natural growth hormone secretion. This is another way of burning fat and building muscle and keeping your joint health in good health. And so what you want to do is you want to sleep in cycles, 90-minute cycles, and you should aim for 7.5 hours of efficient sleep. For most people, 7.5 hours of efficient sleep is usually 8 hours in bed, because they're going to spend maybe 15-20 minutes falling asleep, and then maybe they'll be awake for 5 minutes in the middle of the night, whatever. That gives them 7.5 hours of efficient sleep. That's what you want. You want to sleep in those cycles. You don't want to sleep 8 hours. You don't want to sleep 6 hours. You want to sleep 7.5. You also want to avoid toxins. Now, toxins are a lot of different things. There are toxins in your clothing. There are toxins in your plastic bags, if you use those. I always talk about not using plastic. Minimize that. Use wood utensils, metal utensils. Use these things instead. Don't use plastic. Your clothing should be natural fabrics. Now, I'm wearing linen literally from top to bottom because I'm in Greece. It's nice weather. The sun is out. So this is perfect for summer. You should wear cotton. You should try to avoid all the polyester because, again, that's plastic. You want to avoid all the toxins on your body and avoid putting toxins inside your body. This is the exact same thing with the processed foods. They will for sure have toxins, and you want to avoid that. You don't want to put that into your body because that's just stressing. That's stressing your liver. You have to be able to take it out, the heavy metals, all these things. Now, can you avoid it 100%? No, you can't. In the modern day and age, it's practically impossible to avoid toxins. Heavy metals, microplastics, it's impossible. But I think you should really maximize how much you try to avoid it, to put less stress on your body as possible. I shortly mentioned you have to maximize your nutrient density as well. And basically you can measure that in your blood work. You can get B12 measured, vitamin D measured. Vitamin D, you get that by being out in the sun. I haven't mentioned that yet, but that's also very important, not only for vitamin D production, but also for setting the circadian rhythm, your inner clock. You want to be out. This is one of the things that sleeping well and sleeping consistently also will do. When you sleep well, when you have good sleep quality, you will tend to have less cravings. So I remember this from doing 18-hour night shifts at the hospital. When I would come home from an 18-hour night shift, no sleep, I would have cravings for all the processed things, all the things that taste good, the donuts, the croissants. Literally, I'd want to eat Nutella. I'd want to eat all these things that I don't normally eat. I'd want to eat those, and that's because of the cravings, because of the sleep deprivation. And we haven't even talked about the other effects, the other bad effects of sleep deprivation, which is having amnesia, not remembering correctly, memory, these things. You want to sleep consistently and you want your circadian rhythm to be set. Now, we're talking about this because I mentioned vitamin D. So getting some sun in the morning is very good at doing that, setting your circadian rhythm, which then translates to you having less cravings and being able to control your hunger even more. You can get blood work done to get these things done. And what I do is, if this sounds interesting to you and you want a little bit more personalized approach than just watching a YouTube video, there's a link down in the description below where we can get on a call, on a short 30-minute call. So what I call a health audit. We'll talk about you and your goals. Now, you should only do this if you're serious about changing your health and improving your health, because I am very selective about the guys that I work with. So if you are ready to do that, if you're ready to take your health to the next level, essentially maximizing your genetic potential, you can book a call in the link in the description below. But if not, then don't do that. There are plenty of free videos that you can watch here. This is mainly for executives who already have their life in order in terms of financials and everything else, but they want to maximize their health. So if you want to do that, you can click the link in the description below. It's called the Health Audit, and then we can talk about it. If not, watch all the videos on this channel. There's plenty of free information that you can use and implement in your day-to-day lives. So now let's touch on some of the conditions that you have to meet before really considering testosterone replacement therapy. Now, again, none of this is medical advice. It's just a checklist to go through in your head, and then you speak about it with your own doctor. But these are some of the things that I think you should think about. One of them, the first one, is being above 45 years old. You can be above 35, 40 if you have a bunch of symptoms, then you can start thinking about it, but really above 45. And I say above 45 because that's when you essentially have lost enough muscle mass, and that's also when you're probably done having kids, because that's also very important, because that's my next point, is you don't want any more kids. Because if you start injecting yourself with testosterone or taking it as a gel or whatever, testosterone exogenously, you will suppress your fertility. You will not produce sperm cells. And I see patients on a daily basis where they have done that, and it takes them up to 24 months, 2 years to regain that same fertility they had. And maybe some of them don't even have the same fertility. Now, you can be lucky because there are anecdotes of guys doing this and then still being able to conceive. Now, it's very few guys, and I wouldn't recommend it because we know the pathway. We know what it does. It suppresses testosterone, it suppresses the signals from the brain. And so essentially for 99% of men, you have no fertility when you're on testosterone replacement therapy. So this is why you should be done having kids. Another point is you should be below 20% body fat. If you're not below 20% body fat, you will have hypothalamic downregulation of your testosterone levels because you're obese. Anything for a man above 20% body fat is obesity, in my opinion. So this is why you want to be below that. If you're below that, if you're below 20, if you're between 12 and 20% body fat, that's where you want to be in terms of body composition while having good muscle mass. Because this ensures that there will be no hypothalamic downregulation from the brain, so you can have enough signaling down to the testicles where the testosterone is produced. You also want to look at some of your nutrition markers when you do the blood work. A good nutrition marker is having healthy triglyceride to HDL ratio. You want your HDL to be above your triglycerides. This is a very good marker of your body being able to use fat as an energy source and you being in good metabolic health. Another good one is HbA1c, which is your long-term blood sugar for the past 3 months. You want that to be low as well. The triglyceride HDL ratio is a little bit better because it's a little bit better signal of how your body is using energy. If you have the proper ratio, then it's a signal that your liver is good at using fat as an energy source, and that's what you want essentially. Now, you also want no PSA elevation, no prostate specific antigen elevation before you get on TRT. This is very, very important because this is your main risk marker of prostate cancer. So obviously, none of this is personalized or specific to anyone. This is not medical advice. You have to go through these things with your own medical doctor. I am a doctor, but you have to go through your own doctor. So this is just an overview of what to think about, where to be essentially before you should consider TRT. And if you haven't met any of these, I would always circle back to the natural ways. If you're not below 20% body fat, if you don't have a good triglyceride HDL ratio, I would always circle back. Go back to the natural ways. You don't want to take this risk. It's simply not worth it. So, when is testosterone replacement therapy the right thing to do? And what should you watch out for? Now, I mentioned this shortly before. You can have testosterone deficiency and you can be low in testosterone. Testosterone deficiency is your inability, it's also the inability to produce red blood cells. So you will have practically anemia and you will have a low bone mineral density. So you will have weak bones. These two signs with low testosterone, less than say 300 nanograms per deciliter, is a very good indicator of being testosterone deficient. This is one of the reasons that you should take up testosterone replacement therapy. But again, you have to talk with your own doctor about this. What I want to really underline here is I want you to maximize your natural levels before doing these things. You don't want the side effects of getting on TRT. You want to maximize. You don't want to rely on injections. Because the thing is, when a healthy man who doesn't need TRT goes on TRT and figures out he actually has to stop, he will, what most men define as depression, he will feel depression. Because you start having some of these spikes in testosterone and you will feel that inner drive because you're not used to it. Your receptors, your androgen receptors are not used to this level of testosterone because you're simply overweight, you're not strength training, you're not sleeping properly. And now, all of a sudden, you just have these very, very high levels of testosterone, which your body's not used to. And so when you stop that instantly, most men report feeling depressed, which is normal. You have no energy, you don't have that drive anymore. And so this is why you want to maximize your natural levels. So you're not relying on anything from the outside, you're producing everything yourself. In terms of dosaging, it's actually very important that you understand what TRT doses are. If you're doing injections, they're usually around 100 milligrams per week. I know the guys who are doing anabolic doses, they do 500. I don't want to say what else because I don't want to help any guys get on the higher levels of doing some of these anabolic drugs. But 100 milligrams is what replacement dosing is. It's not much more than that. 150 maybe, but not much more than that. Everything above that, this is where you risk some of the issues that we've seen in the literature with your heart enlarging and essentially getting cardio diseases, heart diseases from taking too high dosages of steroids. So it can work if you have testosterone deficiency. It can restore your libido, it can restore your energy levels, it can help you shed fat as well, it can help you build muscle if you really are deficient. And that's when you should look at taking this. It's when you're deficient, not when you're just low in testosterone. If you're low and you haven't met the requirements that we talked about that I listed out before, go back to the natural ways. So to wrap everything up here, I think the most important thing is to improve your testosterone levels as naturally as possible for as long as possible. Get the proper diet, eat animal-based meat, fish, eggs. When I say meat, it's red meat. It's the beef, it's lamb. Sleep properly, 7.5 hours every night. Avoid toxins, exercise, build some muscle mass. Muscle mass is so important, not only for testosterone levels, but just generally for energy levels, for avoiding being frail when you're older. Do these things, avoid the toxins. And then if you need it, and we've talked about the things to consider, the checklist to consider. If you're still doing all the right things, but you haven't improved your libido, your energy levels, then you can speak with a doctor. And the reason for this video is I want as many people to maximize their testosterone levels as naturally as possible. Even though I'm a doctor who prescribes TRT, I don't want you to be on TRT if you don't need it. We're seeing too many people, too many men that are too young getting on TRT. So maximize your energy levels, maximize your testosterone levels by eating right, sleeping right, avoiding toxins, and exercising. So I hope this video was helpful. If you like this and if you like this topic, like this video, subscribe to the channel so you can see all the new stuff that I'm going to put out. And if you're ready, if you want something that's more personalized to you, if you're more time poor than you are financially poor, there's a link to get on a personal call with me where we do a health audit, look at your personal situation, and then we can assess if we should do something together. If not, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.